We're here in Orlando, Florida at the NFL's annual league meeting, and it was a busy day here in Orlando, Aric. Just about everyone talked. We heard from owner and CEO Greg Penner, head coach Sean Payton, general manager George Paton, and team president Damani Leach. But the big news of the day was the Broncos announced that they will be debuting new uniforms this year, which is super exciting.
Very exciting. Said I know fans have wanted this for a long time. It's finally happening in the 2024 season. The Broncos will have new uniforms. Sid, it sounds like a complete redesign of what the Broncos have traditionally had. Last uniform change came in 1997, so it's been a while. It's time for a change, I think.
It is.
The logo and the colors will remain the same, but the uniform itself is going to undergo a redesign. Greg Penner said it's going to involve some Colorado aspects in terms of the design, and said Damani Leach made it sound like in the next few weeks we're going to hear something, we're going to see something. So excited for that to get here.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Excited to see what they look like. In addition to that, Aric, a lot of people asked about, obviously, the quarterback position. Before we get into that, I want to start with Jarrett Stidham. Head coach Sean Payton, he talked a lot about him and kind of where he stands right now. What were your takeaways from that?
Yeah, I think the key thing with Jarrett Stidham is, one, he's going to have a chance to compete for that starting role this year. Sean Payton said that on this Monday morning. It's not handed to him. Sean Payton said there's no driver's seat or anything like that. Expects there to be competition. But Jarrett Stidham, it sounds like, will at least get a chance to be that starter. The Broncos did not add anyone yet in free agency. It sounds like they're continuing to explore all possible options. Both Sean and George mentioned that, whether it's free agency, a trade. They did look at some options when a bunch of those quarterbacks came off the board during free agency. But as Sean said, they're not just going to make a move just for the sake of making a move. They want it to be the right move. And in Jarrett Stidham, they already have a guy who they believe they have not yet seen his full potential. And he was asked specifically, when do you get to that point where Jarrett Stidham maybe has reached that level that you can't get any more out of him? And Sean said at some point that might happen, but they haven't seen it yet. They still think there's more that Jarrett Stidham can show out on the field. So he's kind of the in-house option right now for the Broncos.
Aric, one thing you didn't mention is draft possibilities. Head coach Sean Payton and general manager George Paton both discussed that. They talked about pro days as well and these in-person visits that we're seeing a lot of this time of year. What did you think about what they said?
Yeah, well, Sean Payton did reveal that they had an in-person visit, a private workout with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
George, it was kind of a funny moment. He said it was nice of Sean to share that with everybody.
George a little bit more reserved on what he was willing to share.
Exactly. But he did say there have been other in-person visits, these private workouts that they've held. It's just another opportunity for the Broncos to get to know these guys, put them through kind of their own tests. And it's a good reminder for us, too. If you don't see a coach, a GM at a pro day, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not working these guys out at another time. This is the time of year where you like to gather information and you like to keep some information from teams as well. But yeah, with the draft, I think there's a number of possibilities, right? And Sean was asked about, is it realistic for this team to move up into those top few picks to get a shot at a quarterback in particular? He said it is realistic to move up. He said you don't quite know what it's going to take at this point, right? How much it's going to cost. He joked that it was a good time to be one of those teams up there. But we know also that George, he's called up to some of those teams. He's talked to some teams behind the Broncos where they currently sit at number 12. So Broncos are certainly doing their due diligence. They mentioned having some more extensive draft meetings next week. So at that point, maybe some things start to heat up. But it certainly sounds like quarterback is an option either with a number 12 pick or maybe even higher.
Certainly exciting stuff for Broncos fans to hear today, Aric. Now, lastly, the other big theme surrounding today, a lot of reporters asked Broncos leadership if this was a rebuild year, but they didn't seem to agree with that notion.
Yeah, I mean, I think George Paton said it well. Do you call it retooling? Not necessarily rebuilding. It sounds like they expect to be competitive this year, which has always been the message, especially from Greg Penner.
Yep.
They know, though, that you can't skip steps. You've got to do it the right way. Greg Penner said both of those things when he met the media today. And so it's not necessarily a rebuilding year, but they are going to take this proper steps to build this thing the right way. And it just sounds like maybe there's a balance between you can build this thing long-term the right way, and you've seen teams have success with it right away as well. And so they still expect to put a competitive product out on the field for this to be a team that competes this year. But that said, clearly there's a long-term plan in place as well.
Yeah, exciting stuff coming out of this year's annual league meeting, Aric.
A lot of stuff going on. It's busy.
It is busy. Been a fun couple days here. Broncos fans, if you missed some of our content, make sure to check it out on the DenverBroncos.com webpage or the Denver Broncos YouTube channel.